What is a feature that is lacking from these games that you think would make the fan base happy? Let me start this one. I've been asking for this forever. I want real multiplayer, like seamless multiplayer in Zenless Zone Zero. I know.
What do you mean by seamless?
Dog, I want us to be able to progress through story together. However, with the way the game is structured, there are problems that come with that. I don't think the game is structured in a way that allows that to make as much sense. Two, I don't think that the combat in the game, as it stands right now, can support multiplayer in the way that I would like it to be, where you and I both boot into the level and we're both fighting at the same time and shit. You know what I'm saying? Because of the whole chain attack system where you like switch between agents and shit. They could make it work. I don't know how they can make it work, so I don't have the solution.
It would be really, really hard, especially with one thing that I will give Zenless Zone Zero is that out of all the games, I won't even count Honkai Star Rail because it's a turn-based game.
Yeah.
But out of all the action-based games, it's the most cinematic. It's by far the most cinematic. So that also makes it way more difficult for multiplayer to be a thing.
Yeah. So because of that, it's like, yeah, I'm asking for this, and I know a lot of people would be happy if they could boot up their favorite gacha and play with their friends in real time. But I just don't know if the Zenless devs have even like tried to figure out a system that could be used to make multiplayer a real thing. And again, I really think it comes down to what you brought up, the cinematics, the chain attacks where you could switch between agents on hit and stuff like that, because that's a whole system where how the fuck would I do that with a person if we're both fighting at the same time on the field? And well, not even last version, but right now in the current story, when you get to play as like Alice and Yuzuha, there's the character Minato, I believe is his name, right? The guy. And while you're fighting, there's like some AI version of him just kind of like in the foreground or background rather, doing attacks and stuff. And to me, that just made me think like, damn,
Possible.
that could be my homie.
Yeah.
But like maybe that disables the ability to do chain attacks. I'm not sure, but that is something that I think would make the fan base really happy, because I like the fact that they are able to put online multiplayer into some of the events. Fall Guys event, for example, is just
amazing.
I think that's
amazing.
That's funny, right? You know, PvP stuff where you can face off against each other, and I think the Bang Boos are wonderful for kind of allowing these things to come to fruition. But at the same time, the core game, which we all come for, which is the actual story and the combat and playing our agents, I really feel like that's where I think the missed opportunity is for multiplayer. Can't say PvP because I definitely don't know how PvP would work. Agent to agent fighting each other. It would be fucking sick. Boy, you'll make a fighting game. I'm gonna keep saying this, but I just don't know how that would work. But I think multiplayer on a grand scale would, I think Zenless would go fucking crazy.
I mean, the thing is like I don't know if Honkai Star Rail does, but I know Genshin Impact and Wuthering Waves both have co-op mode.
Yeah.
And how it essentially works is, let's just use Genshin as an example.
Okay.
They have four characters on your team.
Yeah.
Whenever there's co-op, each player gets 2 characters. Okay. So in one world, there can still only be 4 core characters that can be switched between.
Okay.
If there's 4 players, each player can only play 1 character, but there's still 4 characters. But at the end of the day, it's like there's still more characters on the field, because even in Genshin, there's only 1 character on the field when you're playing single player and you're switching between the characters.
Yeah.
But whenever there's multiplayer, there's 4 players on the team. There's 4 characters on the field. So I feel like it can happen in Zenless Zone Zero, because obviously what I'm thinking is that Hoyoverse has done it before. And
they can figure it out again.
They can figure it out. The only reason why I do see why it would be more difficult is just because Genshin Impact is like the least cinematic game.
Yes.
Like you're just
it is a very simplistic game, especially with the combat.
The only cinematic in it is the ultimate. Mm-hmm. And whenever somebody else does their ultimate, the co-op player doesn't see the other player do their ultimate. They'll see the character itself do the ultimate, but the cinematic,
they're not going to see the cinematic. Exactly.
In Zenless Zone Zero, I feel like a lot of the gameplay thrives off of the cinematic.
It's so beautiful.
Which is what I feel like would make it hard, because you would kind of lose that. And then outside of that, they would have to essentially like make another version of the combat in their game so that you could see another player in those cinematic moments, but not it be cinematic.
Of course, yeah.
So I feel like that's where it gets difficult. And obviously, like, not every developer wants to put so much time into stuff like that when they already have things that are working.
Yes, but I think with the way that the game is and how successful it is, and it's just so many more content potential. There's so much more content potential between creators that I think that in terms of like marketing, just from the player base itself, it would behoove them to try to take on that endeavor to add that to the game. I'm eventually gonna make a video on this when I have my thoughts more laid out on how it could work. But ultimately, I do think that is something that definitely would make the player base explode, especially if it's done really well. But what about Wuthering Waves?
Well, before I go into that, I feel like I swear I've been hearing there was supposed to be PvP.
I've heard this forever too, but
and I feel like I've heard that since the beginning.
I've heard not a crumb.
Since like they were advertising the game at Evo and shit. I'm like, yeah, they're supposed to be fighting PvP in this game. Like a year in, I'm still hearing that they're working on it. Yeah. I don't know if I'm just being gaslit or whatever the fuck, but if it happens, I'm back. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, word.
But for Wuthering Waves, it's hard to say that because anything that I feel like, any feature that I feel like the game would need, they do end up adding.
Okay.
Because the biggest thing we all were talking about was having flight in the 1.0 regions. Mm-hmm. And then they just added that. That was gonna be the first thing. Like I actually did a video about this with Hack the other day where we were reacting to some of these top 10 features they wanted in Wuthering Waves.
Okay.
And they put flight at like number 4 or number 3, and I was like, that shit should be number 1, obviously. Like that's like the main, maybe even the only thing that I want in the game. And then they added it, so I'm like, well, what else would I really want now too? The other things that people have been asking for is basically like your artifact loadouts, like your stat loadouts. In Wuthering Waves, there are echoes, so you get echoes and you put them on your character to build your characters and make them stronger and like get them passives. Is essentially, and essentially it's like what people wanted was to be able to get multiple sets and basically have a loadout for them, so you don't have to keep just changing them every time you want a different set. You can just like, oh, I want this 5 set echo, I'm just gonna slap it on, press it and slap it on this.
That's a good quality of life change.
And they added it.
Yeah,
they added it. People were asking for that in Genshin Impact for 5 years. They added it in Wuthering Waves a year in. So it's like, that's where I'm like, whatever we are asking for, they're actually listening, because the people were asking for it in Genshin Impact. It would be so easy to add that, but it took them a long time, over 4 years to add it.
Yeah.
So anything that I'm thinking about, I feel like it already has been added in. The one thing I do feel like would be really beneficial, actually, now that I'm thinking about it again, I've talked about it with Hack, is for your main character, Rover, just like in Genshin Impact, they have different elements. If you could have like a loadout for that in teams, because what you have to do now is you have to go into your character profile and click something in your character and change it manually. Yeah. Every single time you want to use a different
element.
Element. So if you could like put a specific element on a because they already have team loadouts. If you could put a specific element on a specific team, and not have to click that team and be like, all right, well, for this team, I want my Spectral Rover. So I gotta go, he's Arrow right now. So okay, he's Arrow, I gotta click the team, then I gotta go to the character profile, then I gotta go click on the element and change that element manually. It would just save a lot of time. But that's like the main thing I feel like. Outside of that, I feel like there's not really much that I think about, because the game is headed in a very good direction. Okay. And they're giving me things that I didn't even realize that I wanted. Like they're giving me,
those are always the best ones.
Yeah, exactly. Like recently they just added a feature where you can easily claim everything. Like you can go into your mail, claim all. You can go into like any place in your inventory or in your quest and like just claim everything, instead of like having, or your events, and claim everything instead of having to like tap it individually. I didn't even know that I wanted that. Mm-hmm. Now that I know that it has, I'm like, obviously, why the fuck wasn't that there before? Like, it sounds obvious but you won't think about it until they add things like that. Outside of that, I feel like, yeah, I don't really know what I want because I feel like they know what direction they're going towards. The only thing I do worry about is that they did mention that with them adding flight in 1.0 from 2.0, they mentioned that in the future they're not gonna have flight anymore.
Yeah.
But they're gonna have different means of transportation.
Okay.
And exploration, which is great. And people are like, some people are worried. Some people are like, well, it's gonna be good because if they gave us flight, they're gonna have something that's like basically the equivalent of flight. Like, let's say it's like a futuristic zone. You're not gonna be flying around. You'll probably be like driving a Cybertruck or some shit. My issue is that like with that, it kind of worries me about people who have paid for things like wing skins, because there are wing skins that you can.
Oh, that would piss people off.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why there is a really nice looking wing skin that is for purchase. That's like $10. Yeah, I didn't get it because I'm like, first of all, they didn't put flight in 1.0, so that already makes me feel like they're not gonna have flight in the next major 3.0 update because it's gonna be something else.
Yeah.
So if I get this and I'm not able to fly in the future regions, years down the line when it's 5.0, I feel like, what reason will I have to go back to the 2.0 region as much to use my $10 that I spent? I'm gonna feel like it's just gonna, like, I can use my characters, but I can't use the wings unless I'm only in that region.
Yeah.
And they just confirmed it by saying you're not gonna be able to fly in the future, but there will be other means of transportation.
Yeah, so that's kind of like a waste.
Exactly. So I'm worried about that, and I hope they add something for like compensation.
Yeah.
For people that have paid for it. Like, yeah, we're gonna have this thing, even if it's like a discount or something. Like, you paid for this in this region. We understand that you're not gonna be able to use it in this region. So here we'll be giving everybody who paid for something this in this region. And that's the one thing. I don't know if they're gonna do that, but I feel like that would definitely be like, oh, a devs listen moment, because I don't want people to feel like they're essentially just wasting money.
Yeah,
because people are always thinking in the moment. For me, I'm thinking in the future. I'm like, I'm not gonna get these wings because I'm not gonna be able to use them in the future.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes total sense. Thank you guys for watching this video. We greatly appreciate it. If you guys enjoy these conversations between Cosmos and I, be sure to let us know in the comment section below, and of course subscribe and like the video. And yeah, I mean, make sure you subscribe to him too.
Yep.
Show support to Cosmos as well, because
I got my own channel.
Yeah, if these do well, we'll do more of them. So thank you guys again. Take it easy.
See ya.
See ya.